What's up, nigga? NBA Youngboy, what they do, bitch? What's up, nigga?
I mean, that's her. Buddy the biggest artist in the motherfucking America, I mean, and he look up to me. So shit, that shit just turned me up.
Might get these niggas be on my dick so bad. These niggas watch me from a jail cell, man. These niggas watch me from a jail cell and be on my dick so bad, nigga. Niggas be writing academics about me, man. Telling academics to post shit about me. Niggas hoes. I ain't never paid attention to a nigga, especially from no motherfucking cell, nigga. The fucking nigga watching me fuck. Then what a nigga say? A nigga say I cooperated. Bow, what, you stupid?
NBA Youngboy and Kodak Black's beef has been heating up lately, and there are still no signs of it slowing down anytime soon. Instead, I think this shit is about to get deadly the way Youngboy and Kodak have been moving. From Kodak's crazy ass pulling up on YB in a helicopter while he was performing, to NBA Youngboy's crash dummies letting Kodak know it's smoke and that they on to him. But here's what makes this situation even crazier. These two used to be genuine homies. They made music together, showed each other love publicly, and Kodak was actually one of NBA Youngboy's biggest inspirations when he was coming up in the game. So how did we get from brotherhood to helicopter warfare? How did respect turn into the type of beef that could end with somebody not making it home? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly how a friendship between two of the realest artists in hip-hop turned into one of the most dangerous beefs the culture has ever seen. And trust me, the details of what really went down that night in Miami will blow your mind. To understand how deep this beef really goes, we gotta go back to when these two were genuinely tight. This wasn't some fake industry friendship. NBA Youngboy actually looked up to Kodak Black before he was famous, studying how this Florida shorty was moving in the game. Back in the day, Youngboy used to watch how Kodak carried himself. Raw, authentic, never compromising his street credibility for mainstream acceptance. That type of realness resonated with Youngboy because he was trying to navigate that same balance between keeping it 100 and making it out the hood. In one of those old interviews, you could hear the genuine admiration in Youngboy's voice when he talked about Kodak. This wasn't fake industry praise. This was real recognition from one authentic artist to another. Youngboy saw Kodak as proof that you could make it big without selling your soul or forgetting where you came from. The psychology behind their early friendship made perfect sense, fam. Both of them came from similar backgrounds: poverty, street life, legal troubles, and that constant struggle to survive in environments that were trying to destroy them. They understood each other's pain, each other's hunger, each other's determination to make it out by any means necessary. Kodak was already established as one of the realest voices in hip-hop when Youngboy was still coming up, still grinding to get recognition. Youngboy used to study Kodak's approach to the game, how he stayed authentic, how he didn't compromise his street credibility for mainstream success, how he kept it real even when it hurt his commercial prospects. Both artists were dealing with constant legal troubles. Both were trying to balance street credibility with commercial success, and both were representing for their respective regions, Florida and Louisiana, in a way that felt genuine and uncompromising. When they linked up for tracks, the chemistry was undeniable. Songs like Water and Chosen One showed the streets that both artists were cut from the same cloth. Real, raw, and uncompromising in their authenticity. You could hear the genuine respect in their voices when they rapped together. The collaboration process between them was organic. They weren't forced together by labels or management. They genuinely wanted to work with each other because they recognized the authenticity in each other's music. When they were in the studio together, you could see the mutual respect and the way they pushed each other to be better. Their musical chemistry translated to their personal relationship. They would hang out, support each other's projects, and publicly show love for each other's music. It was the type of friendship that hip-hop fans love to see. Two real artists supporting each other instead of competing. What made their relationship even more significant was how Kodak influenced Youngboy's approach to the industry. Youngboy was watching how Kodak navigated the balance between street credibility and mainstream success, and he was learning from Kodak's mistakes and successes. Kodak showed Youngboy that you could be successful without compromising your authenticity. You could have legal troubles and still make great music. You could be controversial and still build a loyal fan base. These were important lessons for a young artist trying to figure out his place in the industry. But that brotherhood and mutual respect would eventually turn into one of the most dangerous beefs in hip-hop, and it all started with subtle tensions that nobody saw coming. The first signs of trouble came in August 2017 when Kodak Black took what many fans interpreted as shots at NBA Youngboy on the track Time Never Mattered. The lyrics that caught everyone's attention were, "But I hope I don't go broke again, I'm killing young babies. Kodak never going broke again. You a free agent." Many of Kodak's followers were under the impression that the rapper was directing some of these lyrics towards Youngboy. The reference to young babies seemed like a direct shot at NBA Youngboy, and the free agent line suggested that Youngboy wasn't loyal to any particular crew or region. But here's the thing, neither artist said anything directly about the rumors at first. Fans were left to speculate and interpret the lyrics on their own. This type of subliminal dissing is common in hip-hop, but it creates tension because it's never clear if the shots are intentional or if fans are reading too much into the lyrics. The subliminal game is dangerous because it allows for plausible deniability while still sending a message. Kodak could claim he wasn't talking about Youngboy specifically, but the lyrics were specific enough that people in the know understood what was being said. This type of indirect communication is common in street culture and hip-hop. It allows artists to express their feelings without directly starting a conflict, but it also creates confusion and tension because the target never knows for sure if they're being dissed. Youngboy's response to the Time Never Mattered track was interesting. Instead of responding directly, he seemed to ignore it publicly while addressing it in his own music. This created a situation where both artists were taking shots at each other without directly acknowledging the beef. Things escalated significantly in November 2018 when NBA Youngboy's artist Quando Rondo was filmed burning merchandise from Kodak's label, Sniper Gang. The video showed Quando and his crew disrespecting Kodak's brand, saying things like, "We on some NBA type stuff, man, no more Sniper Gang." This incident was significant because it moved the tension from subliminal lyrics to direct disrespect. Burning someone's merchandise is a clear sign of disrespect in hip-hop culture. It's saying that you don't respect their brand, their movement, or their influence. The video went viral quickly, and it really got under Kodak's skin and his crew's skin. The disrespect was public and intentional, and it demanded a response. In street culture, you can't let that type of disrespect slide without responding. In response, the Sniper Gang crew issued their own video where they burned a Never Broke Again shirt while making threatening statements. One participant said, "Y'all are making a mess of the Sniper Gang. I don't typically burn shirts, I really burn other things and you feel it." The threatening tone of the response showed that this wasn't just about merchandise anymore. This was about respect, territory, and the willingness to escalate the situation beyond music. When crew members start making threats, it means the situation has moved from rap beef to street politics. The back-and-forth burning of merchandise created a visual representation of the disrespect between the two camps. It was symbolic warfare that played out on social media for everyone to see. In a video chat in 2018, Kodak disclosed that he had forgiven Quando, showing his mature side. He said he didn't want to hold grudges over the merchandise burning incident and that he was willing to move past it. This showed a different side of Kodak, the side that understood the bigger picture and didn't want to let small incidents destroy relationships. It was a moment of maturity that suggested the beef could be resolved peacefully. But a year later, he accused Quando of stealing his style, showing that the tension was still there under the surface. The forgiveness was surface level, but the underlying issues hadn't been resolved. The psychology of this type of escalation shows how small misunderstandings can turn into major problems when you're operating under street pressure. Both artists had real street credibility and crews that were willing to ride for them. This wasn't just rap beef. This was real street politics with real consequences. When you're dealing with artists who have genuine street backgrounds, every slight becomes magnified. What might be a minor disagreement between regular people becomes a matter of respect and reputation when you're dealing with street culture. The pressure from their respective crews and fan bases also played a role in the escalation. When your people expect you to respond to disrespect, it becomes harder to take the high road and ignore the situation. But here's where the story gets interesting. Just when it seemed like the tension might explode into full-scale war, they actually squashed it. There was footage that surfaced of them on FaceTime together, laughing and showing love like the old days. In the video, you could see both artists genuinely happy to be talking to each other again. Kodak was asking about food, they were joking around, and it felt like the brotherhood was back. The conversation was natural and comfortable, showing that despite the public tension, they still had genuine affection for each other. That FaceTime call was significant because it showed that both artists were mature enough to address their issues directly rather than letting them fester. They talked through whatever misunderstandings had developed, reaffirmed their respect for each other, and seemed to put the tension behind them. The FaceTime conversation demonstrated the power of direct communication in resolving conflicts. Instead of continuing to send subliminal shots through their music or letting their crews handle the situation, they spoke to each other directly. This type of mature communication is rare in hip-hop beef situations. Usually, pride and ego prevent artists from reaching out to each other directly. The fact that they were able to have a genuine conversation showed that their friendship was real and worth preserving. The public nature of the reconciliation was also important. By letting fans see them together and happy, they were sending a message that the beef was over and that they had resolved their differences. The reconciliation became even more public when Youngboy released Letter to Kodak after Kodak was sentenced to federal prison on weapons charges. In the song, Youngboy rapped directly to Kodak about how much he missed him, showing genuine love and concern for his friend who was locked up. The lyrics of Letter to Kodak were emotional and heartfelt. Youngboy talked about missing their conversations, worrying about Kodak's safety in prison, and hoping that he would come home soon. This wasn't just a publicity stunt. You could hear the emotion in Youngboy's voice. The song served multiple purposes. It showed the public that their beef was over. It demonstrated Youngboy's loyalty to his friend during a difficult time. And it gave Kodak something positive to focus on while he was incarcerated. The hip-hop industry and fans reacted positively to the reconciliation. People were relieved to see two talented artists resolve their differences peacefully instead of letting the situation escalate into something dangerous. The reconciliation was seen as a mature move by both artists. It showed that they were able to put their egos aside and prioritize their friendship over public perception or street politics. Industry figures praised both artists for handling the situation maturely and setting a positive example for younger artists who might be dealing with similar conflicts. The psychology behind that reconciliation was probably relief for both camps. Beef is exhausting, especially when it's with someone you genuinely used to respect. Having to constantly watch your back, constantly be ready for conflict, constantly deal with the stress of potential violence, that takes a toll on everyone involved. Both artists probably realized that their friendship was more valuable than whatever issues had caused the tension. They had genuine respect for each other's talent and authenticity, and they didn't want to let misunderstandings destroy that bond. The reconciliation also made business sense. Both artists were successful and had their own fan bases, but collaborating together was beneficial for both of their careers. Fighting each other was counterproductive when they could be making money and great music together. For a moment, it looked like the hip-hop community had avoided another potentially dangerous beef. Fans were relieved. Both camps seemed to relax, and it appeared that maturity had prevailed over ego and street politics. The peace between them lasted for a while, and during that time, both artists focused on their individual careers. Kodak was dealing with his legal issues, and Youngboy was continuing to build his fan base and release new music, but that peace wouldn't last long, and what happened next would reignite everything in the worst way possible. The underlying issues that had caused the original tension were never fully resolved, and new conflicts would soon emerge that would make their previous beef look minor in comparison. The beef reignited in April 2020 when Kodak accused NBA Youngboy of cooperating with police. The situation involved Youngboy's girlfriend at the time, Ayanna Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather's daughter, who was arrested for allegedly stabbing LaPatra Lashai Jacobs, the mother of Youngboy's child. According to authorities, the incident occurred at Youngboy's house, where the rapper was reportedly spending time with Jacobs at the time. An altercation broke out between the two women after Mayweather showed up and demanded that Jacobs leave. When Jacobs continued to stand her ground, the argument escalated and moved into the kitchen, where it is alleged that Mayweather stabbed her multiple times. When police arrived to investigate, reports stated that Youngboy fully cooperated with their investigation. The authorities said that Youngboy was telling the police they could do their whole investigation. This is where Kodak saw an opportunity to attack. The accusation of cooperation with police is one of the most serious allegations you can make in street culture. It's essentially calling someone a snitch, which can have deadly consequences in that environment. In the streets, cooperating with police is seen as the ultimate betrayal, regardless of the circumstances. Kodak's decision to make this accusation public showed that he was willing to cross serious lines to hurt Youngboy's reputation. This wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was an attack on Youngboy's street credibility and potentially his safety. The timing of the accusation was also significant. Kodak was locked up in federal prison at the time, dealing with his own legal issues, and he was probably frustrated and looking for ways to strike back at people he felt had wronged him. Kodak decided to involve himself in the drama by making the accusation that NBA Youngboy was cooperating with authorities. From behind bars, Kodak wrote in the comments section of an Instagram post, "They hell they mean fully cooperated LOL. They ain't say a lil piece, they say fully. Anyways, man, that word ain't even posed to be attached to your name. Damn, little bro, don't do that, little girl. Like that man." The comment was calculated and designed to cause maximum damage to Youngboy's reputation. By using the phrase fully cooperated and emphasizing it, Kodak was making sure that everyone understood what he was accusing Youngboy of. The condescending tone of the comment, calling Youngboy little bro and little girl, was designed to be emasculating and disrespectful. Kodak was trying to make Youngboy look weak and untrustworthy in front of his fan base. By making the accusation on social media, Kodak ensured that it would be seen by thousands of people and spread quickly throughout the hip-hop community. This wasn't a private conversation or a subliminal lyric. This was a direct public attack on Youngboy's character. The public nature of the accusation made it impossible for Youngboy to ignore. When someone questions your street credibility publicly, you have to respond or risk looking weak. Kodak knew this, and he was essentially forcing Youngboy into a position where he had to defend himself. Youngboy went on Instagram Live after seeing Kodak's comments, and his response was explosive. "These guys be on my private parts so bad, these guys watch me from a jail cell, man. The guys watch me from a jail cell and be on my private parts so bad, guys be writing academics about me, man. I ain't telling academics to post stuff about me." The anger in Youngboy's voice was real and raw. He felt genuinely disrespected by someone he used to call his friend, and he wasn't going to let it slide. The fact that he responded so quickly and emotionally showed how much the accusation had gotten under his skin. He continued, "I ain't never paid attention to a guy, especially from no jail cell. The guy watching me. Then what a guy say? A guy say I cooperated with what, you stupid guy?" The emotional impact of Kodak's accusation on Youngboy was clear. This wasn't just about rap beef anymore. This was about his reputation, his safety, and his standing in the street community. Being called a cooperator or snitch can have serious real-world consequences. Youngboy's response showed that he felt betrayed by someone he had trusted and respected. The fact that the accusation came from Kodak, someone he had shown love to when he was locked up, made it even more hurtful. The public nature of both the accusation and the response meant that their personal conflict was now playing out in front of millions of people, making it harder for either of them to back down without losing face. On April 6th, DJ Academics disseminated a video clip in which Kodak Black criticized Youngboy while on the phone from behind bars. In the call, you could hear Kodak's frustration and anger as he continued to attack Youngboy's character. "Stop playing with me. For playing with a real one like that. You play with no man like that, man. Talking about sucking private parts, homie," Kodak said during the call. The anger in his voice was palpable, and it was clear that he wasn't going to let the situation go. During the course of the call, Kodak stated, "Also, I want you to do something, boy. I want you to quit playing with me, boy. For real. Talking about private parts. What are you talking about, homie?" The fact that Kodak was making these calls from prison added another layer of complexity to the situation. Prison phone calls are monitored and recorded, which means Kodak knew that his words would be heard by authorities and potentially used against him. Despite this risk, Kodak continued to escalate the situation, showing how deeply the conflict had affected him. The isolation and stress of prison life can intensify emotions and make conflicts feel more urgent and personal. The prison environment also meant that Kodak had limited ways to respond to what he perceived as disrespect. He couldn't physically confront Youngboy or handle the situation in person, so he was using phone calls and social media as his primary weapons. The exchange continued on social media, with both artists posting videos and memes insulting each other. Youngboy shared video clips of Kodak exposing himself during a live concert, along with other memes that were insulting to Kodak Black. This type of public humiliation showed that the beef had moved beyond personal disagreement into psychological warfare. Both artists were trying to embarrass each other in front of their fan bases and damage each other's reputations. The social media aspect of the beef made it more intense and public than traditional hip-hop beefs. Every post, comment, and video was analyzed by fans and media outlets, creating a constant cycle of escalation and response. The involvement of their respective fan bases made the situation even more volatile. Fans on both sides were constantly posting about the beef, choosing sides, and encouraging their favorite artists to escalate the situation further. This fan involvement created additional pressure on both artists to continue the beef and not back down. In the age of social media, backing down from a beef can be seen as weakness by fans, which can hurt an artist's reputation and career. The fan bases also served as amplifiers for every slight and insult, making sure that nothing was forgotten or forgiven. This made it harder for the artist to move past the conflict and find a peaceful resolution. After the exchange of words, Youngboy published a post on his Instagram story suggesting he was finished with the conflict. "When I'm dead, you can accept that all the stuff these guys come with. Until that time comes, we ain't going for it while I'm still alive." It seemed like Youngboy was trying to be the bigger person and walk away from the situation. The post suggested that he was tired of the back and forth and wanted to focus on his music and his life rather than continuing the beef. However, the damage was already done, and the seeds for future conflict had been planted. The accusations and insults that had been exchanged couldn't be taken back, and the trust between the two artists had been completely destroyed. While Youngboy's attempt at de-escalation seemed mature, the underlying tensions that had caused the beef were still there. The issues of respect, loyalty, and street credibility that had sparked the conflict hadn't been resolved. Both artists were still dealing with their own legal issues, career pressures, and personal problems, which made it difficult for them to approach the conflict with clear heads and mature perspectives. The public nature of their beef also meant that even if they wanted to resolve things privately, they would have to deal with the expectations and opinions of their fan bases and the hip-hop community. But here's where everything went completely left, and this is where Youngboy made a move that Kodak couldn't ignore. After getting out of prison, Youngboy flew Kodak's ex-girlfriend, Mellow Rax, out to his location. And not only did he get involved with her personally, but he also gave her a feature on a song to help boost her career. Now let me break down why this move was so disrespectful. This wasn't just about a woman. This was about violation of respect and crossing lines that shouldn't be crossed in street culture. Messing with someone's ex, especially someone you used to call your friend, is one of the ultimate signs of disrespect. The timing of the move was particularly calculated. Youngboy waited until he was out of his legal troubles and in a position of strength before making this move. It seemed designed to provoke Kodak and show that he could take whatever he wanted, including Kodak's ex-girlfriend. But Youngboy didn't just mess with Mellow Rax. He put her on a song, helped promote her music, took her on tour, and basically used his platform to elevate someone who was connected to Kodak. That's not just personal disrespect, that's public humiliation. The song collaboration was particularly insulting because it meant that Kodak would have to hear his ex-girlfriend on a track with his former friend. Every time the song played on the radio or streaming platforms, it would be a reminder of the disrespect. Taking her on tour was another level of public humiliation. It meant that everywhere Youngboy performed, Mellow Rax would be there as a visible symbol of how Youngboy had taken something that belonged to Kodak. Youngboy was essentially flaunting the situation and making sure everyone knew what was happening. The psychology behind Youngboy's move is complex. Maybe he was testing Kodak's reaction. Maybe he genuinely liked Mellow Rax and didn't care about the consequences. Maybe he was trying to send a message about power and influence. Whatever his motivation, he had to know that this move would reignite the tension between them. The strategic nature of the move suggests that it was calculated to cause maximum damage to Kodak's pride and reputation. The move also demonstrated Youngboy's power and influence in the industry. He was showing that he could take Kodak's ex-girlfriend and use his platform to make her more successful than she had been with Kodak. In street culture, there are certain lines you don't cross, and messing with someone's ex-girlfriend, especially publicly, is definitely one of them. The violation becomes even more serious when it involves someone you used to call your friend. The street code exists to maintain order and respect within the community. When someone violates these codes, it demands a response, or else the person who was disrespected loses credibility and respect. Kodak's position was particularly difficult because he was dealing with someone he had previously shown love and respect to. The betrayal aspect of the situation made it even more painful and demanded a stronger response. The situation became even more disrespectful when Mellow Rax started posting pictures and videos with Youngboy, making it clear that she had moved on from Kodak to his former friend. This type of public display was designed to hurt Kodak's pride and reputation. The social media posts served as constant reminders of the disrespect. Every picture, every video, every public appearance was another way of rubbing salt in the wound and showing the world that Youngboy had taken something that belonged to Kodak. The public nature of the relationship also made it impossible for Kodak to ignore or downplay the situation. It was happening in front of everyone, and his response would be watched and judged by the entire hip-hop community. The psychological impact of this type of disrespect goes beyond just losing a girlfriend. It's about respect, power, and reputation in a culture where those things are everything. When someone takes your ex-girlfriend and flaunts it publicly, they're essentially saying that they're more powerful and influential than you. For someone like Kodak, who had built his reputation on being real and commanding respect, this type of disrespect was particularly damaging. It challenged his status and his ability to protect what was his. The public nature of the disrespect also meant that Kodak's response would be watched by everyone. If he didn't respond strongly enough, he would be seen as weak. If he responded too strongly, he could face legal consequences or escalate the situation into violence. Kodak's response was swift and brutal. Instead of handling the situation privately, he decided to address it publicly with diss messages that went directly at Youngboy. In these messages, Kodak didn't hold back, expressing his genuine anger and feeling of betrayal. According to the content from the videos, Kodak said some wild stuff that made it clear he felt genuinely disrespected by Youngboy's actions. In those messages, Kodak addressed the Mellow Rack situation directly, called out Youngboy's character, and made it clear that their previous reconciliation was officially over. The tone of Kodak's response was raw and emotional. You could hear the pain and anger in his voice as he talked about how Youngboy had violated their friendship and crossed lines that shouldn't be crossed. From the video content, we can see Kodak saying things like, "Forever, my little, I spit on your face while you suck on my little nasty." This shows just how personal and disrespectful this beef had become. The language Kodak used was deliberately degrading and emasculating. He was trying to hurt Youngboy's pride and reputation in the same way that Youngboy had hurt his. The sexual nature of the insults was designed to be particularly humiliating. The personal nature of the attacks showed that this wasn't just about music or business anymore. This was about personal betrayal and the violation of trust between former friends. The psychology behind Kodak's response shows how deeply the disrespect affected him. When someone you used to respect violates you in such a public way, it creates a type of anger that goes beyond regular beef. It's not just about the woman. It's about the principle, the respect, the violation of boundaries. Kodak's emotional response was raw and unfiltered. He wasn't trying to be strategic or calculated. He was just expressing his genuine feelings of betrayal and anger. This type of emotional honesty is rare in hip-hop beef, where artists usually try to maintain their composure and appear unaffected. The breakdown also showed how much the friendship had meant to Kodak. The fact that he was so hurt by Youngboy's actions demonstrated that their bond had been genuine and that the betrayal was particularly painful. By responding publicly, Kodak was ensuring that everyone would know how he felt about the situation. He wasn't going to suffer in silence or handle the disrespect privately. He wanted the world to know that Youngboy had crossed a line and that there would be consequences. The public response also served as a warning to others who might be thinking about disrespecting him in similar ways. Kodak was showing that he wouldn't tolerate this type of violation and that he was willing to expose and embarrass anyone who crossed him. This situation has all the elements that can turn deadly. Both artists have real street credibility. Both have crews that are willing to ride for them, and both have reputations that they feel they need to protect at all costs. The escalation pattern shows that each side feels justified in their actions. Kodak feels justified because Youngboy disrespected him first with the Mellow Rack situation. Youngboy probably feels justified because he sees Kodak's response as overreaction. Both sides feel like they're defending their honor, which makes it difficult for either of them to back down without losing face. This type of situation often escalates until someone gets hurt or until outside forces intervene to stop it. Kodak's explosive response marked a point of no return in their relationship. The things that were said and the level of disrespect that was displayed made it clear that their friendship was over and that this beef was going to continue until one side decisively won or lost. The personal nature of the attacks meant that this wasn't something that could be easily forgiven or forgotten. The wounds were too deep and the disrespect was too public for either side to simply move on. But that's not even the craziest part of the story. When NBA Youngboy decided to do a show in Miami as part of his Massa tour, Kodak's home territory, Kodak decided to make a statement that nobody could ignore. October 14, 2025 was supposed to be Youngboy's night. His first Miami concert in 5 years, tickets sold out, fans lined the streets, and the whole 305 was pulsing with that Youngboy energy. The anticipation had been building for weeks, with fans traveling from all over Florida and the Southeast to see the performance. But just as the city thought it was YB's night, the skies started to roar. The humid Miami air was suddenly filled with the sound of rotor blades cutting through the night, and everyone knew that something unprecedented was about to happen. Out of nowhere, a black helicopter started circling over Biscayne Bay. The sound cut through the night like a movie scene, drowning out the street noise and the music coming from the arena. Cameras went up, people started recording, and before anybody could make sense of what was happening, the door of that helicopter cracked open and there he was, Kodak Black. Kodak was decked out in all black, diamond teeth catching the lights from below, dangling a banner that said, "Just getting started, October 31st. That's right. Kodak turned his rival's concert night into his own album promo event. The helicopter stunt was unprecedented in hip-hop beef history. Nobody had ever pulled up to their rival's concert in aircraft before. It was a level of petty and power that showed just how far Kodak was willing to go to make his point. This wasn't just showing off. It was strategic psychological warfare. Kodak knew exactly when to strike. YB's fans were flooding into the arena, cameras rolling, the streets packed. Kodak made sure every single one of them had to see his message before they even scanned their tickets. The timing was perfect from a psychological standpoint. Right when Youngboy should have been feeling triumphant about his return to Miami, Kodak turned the attention to himself. It was a masterclass in upstaging someone on their big night. The strategic nature of the timing showed that this wasn't a spontaneous decision. Kodak had been planning this for weeks, getting permits, coordinating with his crew, and making sure everything would go off perfectly. Down below, the streets were madness. Crowds of fans heading toward the Kaseya Center suddenly found themselves surrounded by people waving signs and posters of Kodak Black's upcoming album. Word around the Bay is Kodak paid local promoters and street teams to flood the area with sniper gang posters and neon signs. These weren't regular fans. These were paid hustlers screaming Team Kodak through bullhorns, passing out flyers and holding up glowing boards. The coordination was impressive and showed the level of planning that had gone into the operation. The ground operation served multiple purposes. It created visual chaos that would be captured on social media. It reminded everyone that they were in Kodak City, and it showed the level of resources and organization that Kodak could mobilize when he wanted to make a statement. But that's not all. The water lit up too. Kodak's crew pulled up in style, black yachts and speedboats cruising slow through the bay, decked out with bright LED lights blasting his classic track No Flockin' at full volume. His team, all wearing Sniper Gang merch, was seen waving flags and throwing up signs, laughing like they just pulled off the ultimate stunt. For a few moments, the whole waterfront behind the arena belonged to Kodak Black. The water show added another dimension to the spectacle. It wasn't just about the helicopter. It was a full multimedia experience that dominated the Miami skyline. The boats created a visual backdrop that would be captured in every photo and video taken that night. The psychological impact of the stunt was immediate and powerful. Imagine walking into a concert for your favorite rapper, and before you even get inside, you see hundreds of people chanting for his rival, waving signs for another man's album, and helicopters circling overhead. It felt like a scene straight out of a rap movie. The crowd was split between confusion and excitement. Some fans were angry that their night was being disrupted, while others were impressed by the audacity of the stunt. Above all that noise, the helicopter kept circling. Fans on the sidewalks and in the upper decks could see it through the Miami haze, lights flashing, propellers chopping through the air, and the huge banner trailing behind it like a victory flag. The media response was immediate and intense. Within minutes, videos of the helicopter were going viral on social media. Hip-hop blogs, news outlets, and fans were all posting about the unprecedented stunt. The coverage was exactly what Kodak wanted. Instead of the night being about Youngboy's triumphant return to Miami, it became about Kodak's audacious display of power and creativity. He had successfully hijacked the narrative and made himself the story. The viral nature of the stunt meant that even people who weren't at the concert or weren't hip-hop fans were seeing the videos and talking about what had happened. It was a masterclass in generating buzz and attention. According to the video content, Kodak's crash dummies posted stories waiting for YB to come out, but nothing ever happened. The question everyone's asking is, was Yak really on that timing, or was this all just for show? From the helicopter, you could see Kodak's crew positioned strategically around the arena. They weren't just there for the spectacle, they were prepared for real confrontation. When someone is willing to coordinate helicopter stunts and have their people waiting outside your show, that's moving beyond music into real-world conflict. The positioning of Kodak's crew showed that they were serious about the possibility of confrontation. They had people at multiple exits, in the parking areas, and along the routes that Youngboy would likely take when leaving the venue. Miami PD monitored the situation but couldn't do much. Kodak had all the permits lined up for the helicopter, the watercraft registered, the street teams paid through event promoters. Every move had been planned weeks in advance. It wasn't chaos, it was choreography. The legal preparation showed the sophistication of Kodak's operation. He had made sure that everything he was doing was technically legal, which meant that law enforcement couldn't shut it down even if they wanted to. The police presence increased throughout the night as the situation developed, but they were mostly in a monitoring role rather than an intervention role. The legal nature of Kodak's activities meant that they couldn't take action unless something actually happened. The atmosphere was electric with tension. Fans inside the arena could hear the helicopter circling overhead. Social media was exploding with videos and pictures. Everyone was waiting to see if Youngboy would respond or if something would pop off. The tension was palpable both inside and outside the venue. Youngboy's fans were torn between enjoying the show and worrying about what might happen when it was over. The constant sound of the helicopter overhead served as a reminder that this wasn't a normal concert. Security inside the venue was heightened, with additional personnel brought in to handle the unusual circumstances. The venue management was clearly concerned about the potential for the situation to escalate into something dangerous. But Youngboy never came outside. Whether it was security concerns, legal advice, or just smart decision-making, he stayed inside the venue and did his show. Some people saw this as backing down. Others saw it as being smart and not falling for the bait. The decision not to confront Kodak directly was probably the right one from a legal and safety standpoint. Engaging with the situation could have led to violence, arrests, or other serious consequences that would have hurt Youngboy's career and freedom. However, in street culture, not responding to such a direct challenge can be seen as weakness. The fact that Kodak was able to pull off such an elaborate stunt without any response from Youngboy was seen by some as a victory for Kodak. The fact that nothing physical happened doesn't mean the message wasn't received. Kodak had successfully turned Youngboy's big night in Miami into a display of his own power and influence in his home city. By midnight, Miami was buzzing like it hadn't in years. People leaving the concert were greeted with flashing yacht lights across the bay, the sound of Kodak's music echoing through the humid air. Drone footage flooded social media, showing Kodak standing on a yacht, city lights behind him, grinning like a man who just outsmarted the industry. The visual impact of the night was undeniable. Every photo and video from the concert included elements of Kodak's stunt, whether it was the helicopter in the background, the boats on the water, or the signs and banners on the streets. From a strategic standpoint, Kodak had achieved everything he wanted. He had shown his power and influence in Miami, generated massive media attention, promoted his upcoming album, and demonstrated that he could disrupt Youngboy's events whenever he wanted. The stunt also sent a message to the broader hip-hop community about Kodak's creativity and willingness to go to extreme lengths to make his point. It established him as someone who thinks outside the box and isn't afraid to take risks. Most importantly, it showed that the beef between him and Youngboy was far from over, and that Kodak was willing to escalate it to unprecedented levels. As of now, the beef is still very much active. Kodak has made it clear through his actions and words that he's not letting the Mellow Rack situation slide. The helicopter incident in Miami showed that he's willing to take things to the next level to make his point. Current state of the beef is more dangerous than ever because both artists have shown that escalate beyond traditional rap beef tactics. The helicopter stunt demonstrated a level of creativity and resources that most artists don't have access to. Youngboy, for his part, seems to be trying to focus on his music and his tour, but the tension is always there. Every time he performs, especially in Florida or anywhere near Kodak's territory, there's the potential for confrontation. Social media has played a huge role in keeping this beef alive. Fans on both sides constantly bring up the situation, post old videos, and speculate about what might happen next. The internet has made it almost impossible for either artist to move on from the situation. The constant attention and pressure from fans makes it harder for either artist to back down without looking weak. In hip-hop culture, perception is everything, and both Kodak and Youngboy have too much pride to be seen as the one who backed down first. The fan involvement also creates additional pressure for escalation. When fans are constantly asking for responses and reactions, it becomes harder for artists to take the mature route and ignore provocations. The hip-hop industry has been watching this situation closely. Other artists, producers, and industry figures know that this type of beef can have serious consequences. Some have tried to mediate behind the scenes, but so far nothing has worked. The situation serves as a reminder of how quickly things can escalate in hip-hop when personal relationships and street politics get involved. What started as a friendship and musical collaboration has turned into one of the most dangerous beefs in recent memory. Industry veterans have expressed concern about the direction the beef is heading and the potential for real violence. The helicopter incident showed that both artists have access to resources and are willing to use them in ways that could be dangerous. This beef between Kodak and Youngboy represents everything that's concerning about modern hip-hop culture: the inability to resolve conflicts peacefully, the escalation of personal issues into public warfare, and the way social media and public pressure make de-escalation almost impossible. Young artists coming up are watching this situation and learning dangerous lessons. They're seeing that personal conflicts should be handled publicly, that disrespect should be met with escalation, and that backing down is weakness. Those lessons are creating a generation of artists who don't know how to resolve conflicts peacefully. The tragedy is that both Kodak and Youngboy are incredibly talented artists who could be focusing their energy on creating great music and building their legacies. Instead, they're caught up in a beef that could destroy everything they've worked for and potentially cost them their lives or freedom. The psychological toll of maintaining this level of beef is significant for both artists. Constantly having to watch your back, constantly being ready for confrontation, and constantly dealing with the stress of potential violence takes a toll on mental health and creativity. Both artists are young men who should be enjoying their success and focusing on their futures. Instead, they're trapped in a cycle of escalation that's being fueled by pride, ego, and the expectations of their fan bases. The situation also affects their families, friends, and associates who have to deal with the consequences of the beef. When artists are involved in serious conflicts, it puts everyone around them at risk. The saddest part of this whole situation is that it could have been avoided. Kodak Black and NBA Youngboy had genuine respect for each other. They made great music together, supported each other through difficult times, and showed that artists from different regions could come together and create something special. But pride, ego, and street politics destroyed that brotherhood. The Mellow Rack situation was the match that lit the fire, but the fuel had been building for years through small disrespects, misunderstandings, and the pressure to maintain street credibility. The loss of their friendship represents a broader problem in hip-hop culture, where personal relationships are often sacrificed for the sake of maintaining image and reputation. This beef represents everything that's concerning about modern hip-hop culture: the inability to resolve conflicts peacefully, the escalation of personal issues into public warfare, and the way social media and public pressure make de-escalation almost impossible. The helicopter incident in Miami was a warning shot, a demonstration of power and influence that showed this beef has moved beyond music into real-world confrontation. The question now is whether cooler heads will prevail or if this situation will continue to escalate until someone gets hurt. At the end of the day, this beef between two of hip-hop's most authentic voices serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of letting pride and ego override common sense. The culture needs leaders who can show that real strength comes from knowing when to walk away, not from proving who's more dangerous. The streets are watching, the culture is waiting, and the outcome of this beef could set the tone for how conflicts get handled in hip-hop for years to come. Let's hope both artists choose wisdom over warfare, life over pride, and legacy over temporary respect. What do you think about this situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know if you want to see more breakdowns of hip-hop beef and street politics. Hit that like button if this video helped you understand the full story, and subscribe for more real analysis of what's happening in the culture. Remember, real strength is knowing when not to fight, but sometimes the streets don't give you that choice.